We are, yes. We are live. Well, no, it's not live. No, it's not alive. No. This is a type of tutorial. Greetings from the Airy Coast. This is Mad Shad. And I want to make a video about knives. Little bitty knives. Little bitty pocket knives. And, just kind of give you a little, what do you do with this thing? What do you do? I mean, it's, so here's a kind of system that I've devised for myself, throughout the course of the years, playing with knives. I've never stabbed anybody. I've never really cut anybody, in anger, like, "Rah, fuck you." I've never done that, nor do I promote that. You know, a knife, this is a tool, right? I mean, this right here is a Spyderco, what is this thing? 2-stretch. It's a very, very light knife. A Spyderco Stretch 2 XL. Yeah. Yeah, is going to focus? Probably not. Anyway, I like my Spydercos. I like the serrated edge. I've already broke the tip off this thing doing stuff with it. It's a lock. It's a lock blade, right? It's got a very simple lock design. It's got some thumb grip there, for getting your thumb in there. It's also got a very aggressive grip, right? Very simple and sturdy retention, thing. I put it in my front pocket. If I'm carrying a gun, I put this on my weak side. So I'm gonna go over some, like, it's kind of like my system, if you will. And it's not really, I'm not an expert. It's just stuff that I've put together for myself, right? Playing with things and figuring out, okay, how do I deal with a situation where I have to draw my knife instead of my firearm, or maybe I don't have my firearm. There's a lot of times where I don't walk around with a firearm, whatever, but I can walk around with a knife or a pen. Pen can work as well, a knife, a pen, things of that nature. Good sturdy pen, you boom, 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 boom. So, just some things that I go through and I practice all the time, and it's you're putting together your own little style, your own little thing, and then practicing it. So if, say, I have this on my strong side, I'm right hand dominant, right? This is my right hand, right? And so this is where, this is my primary weapon. Boom, right? It's where all my power is because I use this hand a lot, right? Same thing with the knife. It's on the other side, and I'll carry it this way so that I have, when I draw it, right, it's in the forward grip, the up grip position, the forward grip position, so I can slash with this, I can pokey. It's just boom, it's right there. So my grip, right, I like to have a nice good grip on it. That's why I like this little skinny knife. It's great. I can get it in between my fingers, and right inside the grip of my fingers, and put my thumb right here, and I've got a nice little advantage to this tool. I can really exert some pressure, with this knife, and go forward and slashing and stabbing, right? I can push with it too, right? So I'll go over some things that I do, right? It's stuff I just picked up along. I've never took courses. I've never took any kind of anything, any kind of classes that, maybe some, just some little things here and there, but playing with your knife, right? Sit there and just changing my grip, being able to change a grip, quickly, is very important. So my primary, if it's my primary side, it's going to be that forward facing, very edge front, pointed towards you, a pointed grip, so it's right there. It's quick. It's readily available. And then, again, yeah, I literally close it differently. I just push the unlocking area and deploy it that way. You could do that, but I don't have, it's hard for me to, if I pull it and I have to do that switchblade kind of thing, it's my thumb is right here. Now you could use that as a nice, but it's more like for delicate stuff, if you're gonna, whittle at them. But just closing out, I just like to do that. But it does have a nice little thumb groove. So when I pull this thing and I get purchase on it, right, my thumb goes in. Let's see if I can do this. All right, without showing enough of my crap, right? My thumb goes right here, and I've got a little pocket right here, 511 pants. And you can put it in this pocket here as well. And then my thumb is already in there, right? And all I have to do is just pull out. And so I take my finger, flip, and a little flicking wrist action, and now the knife is in my hand securely, ready to be deployed, right? Ready to be, right there. So playing with how you store it, or how you carry it, and then how you pull it out, right? So I like being able to pull that thing out, and it's already in my hand. It's already in the web of my hand, like in the grip area. And so I've got a good purchase on it. My thumb is right there, so that I can, or my finger. I like to use my finger, to flick it open. And so once that happens, boom, I change my grip to that nice tight thumb on top. I like the thumb on top because my first initial, strike is going to be either this or a stab, right? And you can stab low, right? You can do the whole sewing machine action right here, and say I'm forward, I'm bladed forward, so I can get, I'm working with distance. I can get distance with it, right? Right. So yeah, I'm just kind of like, I'm just trying to show you like the basics, right, of what I do. And knowing the basics, being a master of the basics, is far better than knowing everything, right? Once you get that basic, everything else just kind of falls into play, and you can start tweaking and becoming more fancy. But just simple from your deployment to the initial strike. I mean, boom, that could be it. That could be it. And just sit there and just do that, right? I do borrow a lot of things from like Filipino martial arts, Kali, Crimsa. I've never really ever taken any kind of style. The only thing I've ever taken is Kempo or Kendo, Bushido, and Shaolin Kung Fu. That's it. And then what works for me, right? And that just that mindset of I need to be able to carry a knife, be able to pull it out successfully, and deploy it successfully, and use it successfully, right? So this is a tool, and then part of that tool is self-defense or whatever. So and it's very important, and this is the oldest, and I love how you people out there like, and I love it too. I mean, I was a part of that group too. Like, well, you don't bring a knife to a gunfight. Well, sometimes that's all you got, and sometimes they're right there on you. If somebody comes to me and they got a gun to my face, I can grab that gun, boom, stab, 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 cut, cut, cut. I mean, it's good to have an edge in life. It is. It's good to have an edge in life. Okay, it really is. So, from deployment to a forward position, and just in the violence of nature of me being able to pull that out, boom. That's enough right there to be like, okay, all right, never mind. I'm not gonna mess with you. It appears that you know what you're doing, right? You can be all clandestine with it, pull it behind your back, and blade forward this way, so you're defending. Ladies, that's a really good way to, you know, get that knife, because a lot of ladies, you know, they're like, well, what if I pull the knife out and they just take it from me? I mean, there's ways that you can cut, you know what I'm saying? There's, you can manipulate your way out of a grip, and right, you know, now you're cutting them, right? So being aggressive and knowing how grip works, you know, and how to get out of that easily, right? But ladies, if you wanted to really just, you know, and you're worried about that, instead of going forward, right, forward knife, produce, you know, forward with that knife, like I'm ready to cut, and I keep the edge towards them. I'm not doing this like, hey, look at my knife, you can see it. No, I don't want them to see it. So that knife, when it cuts, right? It's cutting, right? And it's very quick, and it's hard to track. It's extremely hard to track that, you know, just that little quick boom, boom. It's hard to track that, you know, if you're just in you know, not telegraphing with your, you know, right? You know, the knife is there. It works in great tandem with just simple movements, you know, it really is. So there's really no telegraphing. But if you wanted to do like a bladed thing, right? So you deploy you produce your weapon, you know, right here. I like to keep it tight here too. So that's, if they're right here on me, you know, I'll pull that knife back. And there's always going to be a hand here. Like, you know, if you're worried about them trying to grapple you, right? You can block that. You can grab that hand, you know, and cut the hand. But keeping that knife back and keeping your body forward and the knife back, it's hard to get that knife, you know. So, you know, coming back here, and I have the knife back behind me, or right here, or back on, like on my butt cheek, and I got my little guard up, you know, in my grappling hand, so I can block punches and grabs, right? You know, I can lean forward, lean back, and I have my knife right here. You know, I can boom, 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 right? Boom. I can do all kinds of things from right here, from this kind of chambered position, if you will. You know, if you're in boxing, right? You know, you got your left foot forward. Say I'm right-handed, right? And I like to do that anyway, because it covers everything. So I have my basic fighting stance, you know, which is like this, right? Or like this, right? You know, whatever the case may be, you got your hands up, you're protecting yourself. You always want to be able to protect yourself. So I do that too. I incorporate that into my basic stance, right? So if I'm getting pummeled, they're already on me, boom, I go to defensive mode, right? And say, my right dominant hand, I can do this, right? As I'm getting punched, getting grabbed, and I can pull my knife, and it's back here. They can't reach it because they're trying to hit me in the head, they're trying to grab me, whatever. I can create distance, right, where I can back up, and I can still deploy my knife, and just simple stabbing motions, right? Forward, boom, forward, not just very simple, right to the body, right? Right to the meaty portion of the body. You know, it's not fancy at all, but it's very effective, right? Boom, boom. You know, that whole sewing machine method. And you just think of your arm as like a, you know, boom, 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 it's going back. You know, you stab, you pull back, you stab, you pull back, you push back, boom. I like doing this, wham, wham, right? Pushing them back as I stab, boom, 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 right? Or I'm stabbing as I'm covering up, right? And I can switch it up. I can do all kinds of things. I can slash, I can stab. Very simple shit. And my footing, right, is nice and stable. You know, I kind of bend at the knees, whatever, and just, right in that center line. And, you know, I can get some power strokes in there, right? Some, you know, I like to, there's some basic moves like for slashing, which is called like the wrath. You know, having your sword or your knife or your stick right here, and just boom, as like you're chopping something. And you're going for the neck, the body, the face, whatever. Boom, right? That tomahawk kind of throw, right? And yeah, it's kind of you know, telegraphed, right? You know, I use that for, like, you know, if I'm boom, boom, stab, stab, slice, slice, slice. Oh, I got some room. You know, bam, bam. You know, and I can go across here. If I feel confident enough, I can come back with another slash, like a backhand, right? In tennis, you know, boom, your backhand, right? That it's not as powerful, but you know, it gets you into that position. So I can put these things together with simple combos, right? Boom, I've deployed my knife. It's back here. They don't even see it, right? You don't even see it. I'm like, oh, get the fuck off me, man. Get off me. Oh, there's a stab. Oh, and the thing about stabbing in a scrum, in a fight, when there's adrenaline going, they don't notice it. They don't realize it. They don't notice. They just feel like they hit, or maybe they don't. That's, you know, a lot of times they don't get it. They don't understand that they've already been stabbed 3 times in the course of like a second, until they're like, you know, because they're focused on hurting you, right? You know, the person is focused on hurting you. Maybe if they have the wherewithal and they go, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit, then they start to panic, right? Or they get enraged. It's the whole thing about the adrenal dump, right? So anyway, not getting too crazy here. A very good defensive stance. You know, I'm standing here, right? Boom. I get attacked, or I feel the attack, right? I'm gonna just put my hands, like, I don't even have time to put my hands up. It's like, you might even get smacked. Bam! Oh shit. Boom. I go with it, right? I cover up. I'm like, okay, you know, here's my guard, here's my shield. I've already got the knife in my hand, deployed, and stab. I might want to stab forward, take a step forward. You know, maybe I'm taking a step back, but I'm not shuffling my feet. I'm not stepping over my feet or I'm keeping my feet right there and just taking a step back in like a shuffle step, right? So I might even, you know, pivot or whatever, but that might be too complicated, right? Don't make it complicated, is my point. That's my point, is you don't have to be a fucking ninja, woo, moving all around and shit, you know, boom, ha, that's it. you wham, you know, you stab anywhere in here, you know, you might get lucky and get in the heart, game over, you know, they got like 3 seconds. They got 3 to 5 seconds, you know, getting stabbed in the heart. You know, they're gonna start getting winded, you know, you stab them in the lungs, you know, you stab them in the gut area here, in the lungs and the heart. I mean, all up in the gut, and it's real easy. It's hard to defend. It's extremely hard to defend that sewing machine method, the prison shank, where they just get belly up on you and just wah, 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 right? You don't have to go for the neck, you know, or whatever. It's just right to the body, whatever, you know, 3 or 4 times, boom, 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 you know, 15 times, boom, 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 whatever. It doesn't take much time to put that knife in somebody and draw it out and stab them again. It just doesn't. Once you have that distance figured out, because that's another thing too, is figuring out the distance. But if they're already on you, right, you're getting smacked and pummeled, and you know, they're trying to choke you, they're trying to grapple with you, just boom, boom. I get low, you know, get my stance low, just get the fuck off me. You know, I'm hitting vital organs, and they don't even realize it. You know, you know, and if I can kind of manipulate, right, and I can switch it up. I can go for that wrath, you know, and just follow through. I'm going for the neck. I'm going for the chest. Going for the arm, right? It's one of your most powerful strikes. You know, and if you ever chop wood, you know, whatever, swung a sword, swung a meat cleaver, you know, whatever, that whole, you know, putting that whole body into it, bending at the waist, whatever. You don't even have to do all that. You know, it's just, there it is. And follow through. Like, you can stop But why would you want to stop? Because you want to get that power. You can, right? And like, kind of choke up on the strike. But I like to follow through, right? All the way down, like down to the hip. So what that does is now I've got my return coming up, or I can slice with my backhand, right? I can do all that. So one of the that's a basic move that I do, right? You know, boom, I can do the sewing machine stab, keeping my thumb right here to push. Now you have to be careful of your knives and the kind of knives you carry with you. Your EDC knives, they have a tendency to break, right? If you're stabbing and something breaks that tolerance, right here, the lock blade, if you have a linear lock, oh, it's even worse if you got a linear lock, but you know, you're generating a lot of pressure, a lot of force with the stab, and you might be stabbing upward. If you're stabbing upward, this could break open, could break the lock, and now look, you see what can happen in a very that thing closes on your fingers, and now you're injured on your fingers and not able to continue. So some of the main targets: face, neck, your body, but the hands and arms as well, right? That's you cut somebody in their hand severely, they can't use that hand. It's, oh shit, you're cutting muscles and ligaments and tendons and all kinds of connecting tissues that allow you to grip and make a fist, right? Or whatever. That hand just like, or whatever. You're basically crippling somebody and their ability to reach out and grab you, reach out and hurt you. So your hands, those hands, boom, I can just sit there and just chip away at those hands, whap, 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 whap. And practicing, right? That angle 1 is what they call it in Kali, right? Angle 1, angle 2, right? And the follow through, I like doing that follow through, right? Boom, boom, right? Angle 3, angle 4, coming up. That's getting real crazy. But, like I said, with that angle 1, I can come here and go up, right? Using that knife and scraping up, right? Keeping my balance, because that's the other thing, is your balance gets thrown off. You're like, and you're susceptible to get boom, right? So keeping your balance is very, very necessary. And what I like to do is, if I come from here, and getting that slice, now look where my knife is. It's right here. I can stop, boom, stab. So I've got 1, 2, 3. And what I like to do, and I've practiced it on, targets, is from that angle 1 slice, slash, angle 2 slash, angle 3 stab, I twist out. So I stab and twist out. So boom, I make contact, I get penetration, and I pull out, right? I literally, so it makes a bigger hole, more trauma to the target, right? And then boom, it sets me up for something like here. Boom, boom, and I can come up this way, right? Into their body, whatever, boom. And the same thing, I twist out of it. I just rip. Now I can just do that over again, all over again. Keeping my guard up, whatever. A lot of stylists, they like to, use that two-handed method, right? So you're deflecting, you're moving shit out of the way as you're striking, right? Whatever. That's good. But if you don't have time to do all that, it's like, right? And being careful to like cross this over, right? Ladies, if I stab here and I cross over and I stab here, they can get control of that arm or whatever, right? But that same motion, right, of pulling out, now I've negated their grip. Once I went like this and just twisted out, now I'm stabbing again. And say they twist, they grab again. I twist out, and it's hard for them to control it, right? It doesn't matter how strong you are. I mean, there is people with some strong grip strength, but you know, throwing a lot at you, I know. Keep it simple, stupid, right? That's why I like that hole right here. You know, fighting stance. Boom. You know, if I've got the knife pointed in, I'm pointing the point at their eyes, right? They don't see it. It's low. Boom. They can't get to it. They try to grab it. Look, I just pull it out. I just pull it back behind me, right? it's all, I'm poised to strike. Boom, boom. I can go overhand, under. I can do uppercuts. I can do looping overhands. I can go straight in with a straight. I mean, think about boxing and punching, right? If you can move your hands in that direction, in that movement, this is brutal. This is absolutely brutal. And it doesn't matter, like I like a fixed blade. If you got a fixed blade, you can do a lot of shit, right? But a folding blade, push daggers. Oh man, push daggers. It's hard to do slashes with them, but it's really, really good to punch with, right? To stab with, you know, because that blade is right there. You know, it's in your hand. You know, you feel like Wolverine, right? You know, slashing would be kind of hard with it, but you know, especially on your hands. This simple design in a knife is great for slashing, and your folding knives are great for slashing, right? For cutting and slashing. You know, like imagine you have a rope in front of you and it's tight, and you're just like trying to cut that rope. You can do the same thing with somebody's arm, somebody's hand, somebody's body, and just, you know, angle one, angle two, angle one, angle two. Right? It's very simple, right? Boom, boom. And I like to give a little snap. It's something I've developed so I'm nice and loose with my grip. Now, even if I'm tight, because you think about it, you're in that fight, that scrum, you've got the adrenaline dump, you're gripping that fucking thing tight as hell, you know, and then I like to give it a little snap with my wrist. So you gotta do that, boom, 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 right at the end. So it just kind of, they might even see it, but boom, it's there, it's boom. And if you do it really relaxed, it's very quick, right? Very quick. So practicing those skills, but you don't need that. You know, you just whap, whap. You know, it's just something I've learned playing with knives. You play with your knives, right? So once again, my basic fighting stance, right? You know, I might even do this. You know, they might get some punches here. You know, boom, and I go right back to it. Boom, boom, and I can knock off stuff. Boom. I can still punch with this. I can still hit with this. You know, I can still push them back. I can still grab them and pull them in, right? You know, remember this, right? That classic karate thing. You know, boom, grab, twist, pull, punch. Grab, twist, pull, punch. Boom. You know, if I grab a motherfucker, shirt, whatever, boom, and grab and pull, twist and pull, this hand comes right up. Boom, I'm pulling them into me. Boom, and I can sweep out. I can pull this right back and push them back. Right, same kind of thing, and it makes it even powerful. You know, if I take a step back. Right, so I'm basically feet forward. You know, and I grab, and I take a step back with that same side that I'm grabbing with, and pull, and stab at the same time. So, you know, that classic boom, right? Same thing if I'm going forward, right? And I take a step forward and pull, right? But, you know, you want to pull them in, you know, and back up and retreat at the same time. So many things, right? So many things. But I like that basic, you know, blade back behind here, you know, and I can strike fairly in a nice distance in front of me. I'm not reaching out forward. I'm not trying to do fencing and right, extend myself. I'm keeping it nice and tight. Boom, boom, because the threat is right here in front of me, in your face, ready to grab you, ready to go. All right, they're dealing damage, and you know they got a knife too. They got a pipe, they got a hammer, whatever, a stick. I mean, you know, or just bare hands. Bare hands can be brutal too. You can get killed. You know, good punch to the head. and that's it. You know, your skull's broken, whatever. But I'm right here, and I can. So I like to keep this side of my shield forward. If I have the wherewithal with me, and I know they don't have a weapon, I'll blade out. So the arm is, there's a blade right there, so I can. It really hurts if I can get that in to their arms, especially inside of their arms. You know, boom! It's like a hammer, and I'm using my forearm as the weapon. Boom, boom, boom. You know, hard block, and I turn into it. Boom, right? But if they got weapons, it's forward. This is forward, because all this is, you cut this, you cut this, you cut this, you start damaging your arms, and you could bleed out, right? You know, that's how you know, the classic self-deletion. It's usually not this way, it's this way, because you got all kinds of crisscrossing veins and arteries in there, veins and shit. So a lot of tendons and ligaments, and your muscles are right there. So, you know, it's got to be careful, right? And your hands and your fingers, right? So, you know, doing this, making a fist, and just, here's your shield, right? In the hood, it was this, right? That was the fighting stance. Boom, 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 right? Boom, boom, right? And they would just, you know, knock shit down, and just boom, boom, right? And make that fucking, you got that shield. Do the same thing, right? Here's what you're hitting. Some of the, you know, in Ishiru, that's how y'all fight anyway. Boom. Right? It's always about that lock, that oh yeah, you know, blocking everything, just carrying your shield. But having your forearm forward, right? There's less to damage. You know, you're gonna get superficial cuts. Right? This way, you know, your inside meaty portion of your forearm forward. You've got the internal workings of your wrist. All kinds of veins, you know, that you could bleed out, tendons and ligaments that just, boom, make your arm inoperable, things like that. So I like to keep it like this, or keep this hand covering covering the back of my head, right? And look how much that covers. And I can still see, I can still work. If I'm really getting pummeled, boom, 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 and so they're hitting this, you know, and I can still kind of, and I can always grapple with it, you know, push things out of the way, right? So basic, right? Basic stuff. If I'm going, you know, if I'm doing like a fencing kind of thing, and I got my knife forward, there's distance, right? I can strike and, you know, keep them at bay kind of thing, right? Nobody wants to walk into that. You know, and I'm just going angle one, angle two, angle one, angle two, stab, right? And I can mix it up, right? You know, just keep flicking it out, right? You know, flicking it out, boom, 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 boom. Nobody wants to get into that. No, even if they try to grab your arm, boom, it's gone, right? And just angle one, angle two, you know, cutting the curtains, so to speak, cutting the curtains out of the way, right? And just working on my footwork and keeping myself at a distance, closing the distance. You know, getting out, right? I'll close the distance, strike, right? You get too close, boom, I stab, right? My hand's up, I'm ready to, you know, protect myself and grapple and move things out of the way, boom, 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 right? So that's what I've designed for myself, and practicing that over and over, you know, it just feels so good, right? And you do this in the real thing. Your mind would go, what do I do? Oh, you've already figured that out. I've already figured that shit out. Here it comes, right? I'm gonna stab, I'm gonna fucking slice, and you know, it's just gonna come from any angle, right? And you don't know what's up. So that's your forward grip. So switching, like I talked about switching grips, right? You know, manipulation of your weapon, of your tool, right? You know, getting good at switching grips. Now, there is always a chance that I drop it. Oh no, I drop it because I'm switching grips. If that's the case, back up, right? Take your time, you know, get that good grip. So that's forward. Wow. What the fuck? That's your forward strong arm side, right? Lots of possibilities there. Oh, see what I mean? All right, I like to, you know, switch things around. Now this is like if I'm carrying a firearm, I'll put it weak side, right? So same principles apply. I might do this, I might do this, right? But I still want to protect this area, and that's why I always like to keep this right arm back here, because that's where your liver is, right here. If you haven't noticed, you know, liver shot hurts. getting hit in the liver hurts. So same thing, right? I'm bladed forward or whatever, usually just hang it out, right? And then when I grab my weapon here, grab the knife on the weak side, now I'm in what's called the ice pick method, the ice pick grip, right? Where the blade is facing down, right? My thumb is on here, right? This thing is, right? I'm ready to stabby. Boom. And this is for very close range. Very close range. You know, boom. And it is specifically designed to get the fuck off me. Now, if you are carrying, right, which is normally how I would carry the knife if I'm carrying a gun, because my gun is my sidearm is my main weapon, and I can pull that really rather quickly and even choke up on it, right, from here. Even do this, I can still do this. So we're not going to go over that. You know, you've seen those videos. This is about knives, right? So same thing, right? Say I'm carrying, I ain't got time to pull my weapon, boom, but I do have time to pull this out. And then once again, how I grip it, right? I grip it like this, so I have this grip, and then literally a flick of the wrist, and that thing is deployed, right? I don't have to engage the thumb. I could take my finger and kind of assist, right? But I've grabbed this thing, and you might even have a string on it to help you pull, right? To get more grippage on it. And so boom, there it is, the grip. It's actually a quicker grip than the forward hand, right? And so now I have this. Now I have this blade, right? And I can stab. I mean, right to the face, boom, multiple times, very quickly, bam. Ice pick method. Once again, knowing that your knife is a lock blade or whatever, you stabbing like this could, this is the dangers of having a lock blade and not a fixed blade, is it could disengage, and now you're stabbing, and that blade is folding onto your fingers. So you gotta be careful of that, right? You do. That's why it's, you know, good quick stabs, boom, pull back, stab, and just boom. Same thing with the sewing method. You know, you don't have to go, you could. I wouldn't do that with this type of, this grip, you know, ice pick method. Now, if you had a fixed blade, oh yeah, fucking boom, right? And we can go over that too, some little things, right? And same thing, if I make contact with it, right? If I get contact and it gets blind up, I can twist out of it, boom, and make it nastier, and sets me up for a different strike. So I've got the classic, you know, Michael Myers, try to show the blade in the light, you know, boom, and I can stab to the eye, stab to the face, stab to the arms, hands, chest, and then whatever. And I can also slash with it, right? So I can slash up if they try to grab my arm. Your ice pick method is really hard, really good, strong, powerful grip that you can just, you know, really fuck shit up. You know, you can really cut their shit. You know, cut their grab. You know, I'm cutting all kinds of stuff here. You know, and I can always push with it, right? And that's the other thing too. And talk about these assisted cuts. And I'll show you some combos that I know, but I'm just giving you some basic stuff, right? So, you know, it's just like fighting, bam. If you can punch with it, bam, right? Bam. You know, keeping my arms to my side and do that fucking Michael Myers stab, you know, and maybe I make contact, boom, I pull out, and now I'm horizontal, right? Another stab, boom, another stab, another level. You know, I can switch up levels. I can go high, low, right? High, low, switch over. Boom, twist out. Now I'm back to ice pick. Boom, twist out. Now I'm in the horizontal, right? So the stabbing method, right? Now with this, I can also slash with it, you know, like a quick little slash. Boom, you know, just slash up. And be careful not to cut yourself, right? You know, so, boom, right? You always want to stop. You can also, right? You got your thumb right here. Boom. You know, do like a pike method. It's called the pike method. Oh no, he's on me, and just literally they fall onto the blade. You know, and you can twist out, and you can pull out, and you can create all kinds of damage. You know, from right, just right here, right? You know, you're not taking this from me, right? You can't. I mean, you know, even the MMA Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu guys, you know, there's problems. There's a problem now. If you have a knife and they're manipulating you, and because they're really good at it, right? This in their hands, that's an issue, right? This in your hands is an issue. So now everything they try can be, you know, just yeah. They gotta use other solutions to negate this problem of the knife, right? Especially the ice pick method, right? Boom, 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 boom. I'm just stabbing, right? And I can do the same thing with a raft, right? I can come here, you know, keep it up high, and wham, get like a power strike. Once again, you want to be careful of that on a folding knife, because you could negate that that thing, and next thing you know, you go to stab somebody, whack, and you're chopping your fingers off. So you want to be careful, right? But a nice quick stab like that, you know, boom, pull out, boom. You know, I can do an underhand kind of thing, like just wee, you know, just that simple motion right there. You know, so I can come here, twist out, boom, twist out, boom, twist out, twist out. And I just keep changing the direction and angle of the attack, right? You know, once again, you know, say I want to keep a defensive stance, right? And this knife is right here, boom. And what I'll do is kind of twist my foot, twist my heel, like I'm throwing a punch, right? Boom, right? And I get more distance, right? I can do that, boom, right? Right to the face, right to the neck, right to the subclavicle, right to the chest, you know, boom, whatever. You know, and I can, boom, take a step in, pull down with it, and just gut everything, let everything fall. I could slash with it, right? That's when you're really, really close. There's not much that they can do about stopping this movement. It's hard. You're as strong as an ox when you do this. When you get your forearms here, that's why the forearms and the elbows are so powerful, because it's just that movement and torque that's created. It's hard to stop. It really is. It's hard to stop that. Boom, right? Same thing. Boom, right? And what I do is, like, when I come in, right? When I do, like, and I could actually miss with this thing, but I'm following up with that elbow. Boom, boom, and I can, boom, elbow, stab, 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 right? You can still do a lot of things with that ice pick, but you are limited with the the tolerance that the knife, your folding knife has. Good strong lock blade, you can do a lot of stuff with it. You know, you can get some good stabs in, but got to be careful. You hit a bone, you hit the wrong angle, you know, whatever, and this thing will close up on you. So you got to be careful with that. You know, nice quick stabs that you pull out, right? You hit, you pull out, you hit, you pull out, right? You twist, whatever. So putting all that together, right? And then I can always go back and being proficient in each hand, right? Each side. Now I'm proficient in each side. So that's the other thing too, is being, you know, knowing your grips, knowing your stances, and being proficient on each side. So this is my weak side. Usually I'm carrying a knife. So if I deploy this, I might even do this. I might even stab. It's in the body, and now I can grab, right, and then start, you know, deploying my my primary. You know, I had to use my secondary to get in there and, you know, get initial strike on the threat, and now I can alleviate the threat by pulling my sidearm and, you know, getting close in, right? Boom, 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 boom. You know, taking care of it, and then follow through. Bam, right? So dropping your knife. Best thing to do in a knife fight is run. Distance is your friend. Like I said, because you want to try to belly up on somebody, and they got a knife, you want to close with and throw hands, grab whatever. They might grab you and throw you down. Retaining control of that knife. Same thing with your, that the weaver stance, right? I can do this. Right? I can get, if they're trying to grab me and stop me from stabbing them, they can't. If I use two hands, it's a powerful strike. They can push as much as they want to. You're still getting in there, right? And just doubling up. Another thing I like to do, which I learned from the movie The Hunted. Remember that? Check out that movie and check out the training those guys did. I love that combo of that angle 1, angle 2, and then from here they go angle 1, angle 2, and then they'll take an assisted cut, right, and push down. Right, it's a very powerful strike. It creates a fast, powerful strike, and you're trying to cut to the backbone through the front of the chest. Right, so it's one of the first combos I learned. Right, angle 1 to the neck, angle 2 to the neck, and I can same thing with a backhand. I want to make that backhand quicker or faster. I can take this hand, which I'm using, and just push. Right, as I'm sending it, right, and then coming up, right, that's what they do, is they come here and they're going here. So it's angle 1, angle 2, assisted cut upwards, right, into here, and then that's like the end of it. And you can go from there, boom, 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 boom. But yeah, I mean, it's powerful. Whap, whap, whap. And I still got my hand up, and this still, I can deploy it low, right. I can change the levels, right. Boom, from that forward grip, I can, if they back me up, if something happens in our distance, our measure, if you know what that means, the measure, you're measuring, always trying to measure distance. So the measure changes, and they get closer, and I pull back. Oh shit! So I can take this hand, put it right here, right, and get a nice deep cut, nice quick cut. I can slash, stab, slash, stab, slash, stab over and over, right, and then switch it up. So that's a really good combination. That angle 1, angle 2, slice, power assisted slice, right, and I flick it out there. It's like throwing a baseball, right? I don't know. Another, like I said before, I like to use that angle 1 as the first attack. It's just like my most powerful attack, right? Boom. And so I'll follow through, take a step forward, and then I got this, I stab, which is another kind of angle. If you look at a Kali and a Crimson, boom, and it stabs right in this way, right? Boom. And then I can pull out, right? And then stab again, pull out, stab again, right? And from here, like say I get a motor set. It's another thing. All I'm doing is this, right? I switch it up. I go from, and then I switch up. I go boom, 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 right? And now this is poised to pull in, to just stab right in. Boom. And now I can stab, and I pull out, twist, stab, right? So there's so many options that you can do. Literally all kinds of stuff, right? So have fun with your knives, play with them. It's very cheap, very simple, right? Just doing little things. Play with your knives constantly. I'm constantly doing this. I'm constantly doing this, right? Changing the grip, working on changing my grip, right? Just things like that. So I hope this helps. I like knives. Knives are something that are super old. Everybody's been using knives to defend themselves and kill each other for thousands of years. Same thing with animals, right? The bigger the knife, the bigger the damage too. So a big honking knife. Just be careful of your EDCs and how you use it. Primarily, I would use it in this method for a slash and a stab, right? A horizontal stab, and then I'm pulling out in the direction of the push, right? So boom, boom, I pull out, or I twist and pull out that way. So I have total control of the knife, and it's not going to close up on me because I'm pushing against it, right? I'm pushing. So I hope this helps. If you want to see more content of this kind, I've made stuff like this in the past, and it's just simple shit. It's just simple shit that I've come up with throughout the course of years. I've only been in like 2-3 knife fights. They're over rather quickly. I got cut once across the belly. It was such a dull knife. It just made a little scratch. So I've never. I've been in a fight where is it? I got stabbed. I did some fancy shit. And I did some whole bullshit like this. And I literally grabbed the knife. I grabbed his knife hand and put it into my arm. I could have really fucked up, but I often do this kind of move here. I do a lot of, like with the martial arts, right? And so it was always like this, boom, boom, boom. And I did succeed in pushing him back, the attacker back, but I still got stabbed. So that's the other thing. If you're going to be in a knife fight, expect to be cut. Expect to be cut. And expect to be cut and not even know that you've been cut. Because I didn't even know. I didn't even know that I got stabbed, right? I didn't even know. And boom, threw him back. There was like, a few of them. There was a bunch of Utes. A couple Utes, like maybe 4 or 5, 6 Utes. Charleston. They thought they were badass. I was coming out of a fucking paintball shop of all places in North Charleston. And they got me right there in the parking lot. In broad daylight almost. The sun was going down. They're like, yo, what's up, motherfucker? I'm like, oh, shit. And he had a simple fucking, it looked like I think I have the knife. No. I have a knife similar to it. It's like an old timer, folding knife. And he fucking give me your shit. Dude. And, I try. I don't know if he lunged at me or he just had it out there. But I remember doing some shit like, I'm going to flap it away, right? Boom, boom, slap, slap, grab, push, right? And I literally did this. Oh, ow! But I still got, still got my hit in, because I was committed, right? But he still got me. Yeah, it's in there somewhere. But that was probably the worst stab I've ever had. That's it. That's the extent of my experience in knife fights. But having a plan, right? We talk about having a plan and preparing yourself. Ladies, men, whatever, you have a knife, you know how to use it, right? You know how to cut things with it. Same principles apply to the human body. Really. If not more devastating to the human body. You cut anything over here, up in here. Even though it might be superficial, right? There's a lot of blood. It's traumatic, and there's scars. And they get to, if they survive, they get to, think about their life decisions that led up to this point, and maybe they don't make that decision anymore. So being proficient with your knife, right, and being able to manipulate it in a lot of ways, helps to keep you proficient with this knife, right? So using it to cut rope, to cut plastic, to cut boxes, right? I use that method, to open up a box within seconds. It's like, right? It's done. And of course, if you're like doing like, nice delicate cuts and shit, you change your grip, the finger grip. I've heard of that. I don't like it because the grip is not there and the power's not there. So I like this grip, simple, direct, powerful. And I've got a lot of control over that blade, right? I do a lot of this. I do a lot of like wristing, twisting, right? Boom, boom, boom. It's real quick shit. Boom. So you can get really quick with it. Right? You know, just going pat, 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 pat. You know, just like a cat. You know, the cat, like, you know, as it reaches out with the smack, 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 you know, smack, 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 smack. This is not powerful, right? I'm just doing like finger strikes. Boom, boom, boom. It's really quick though. But this, boom, 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 boom. I just did four hits in like less than a second. Boom, 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 boom. Right? Boom, 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 boom. And I can switch it up. You know, be really fast, really proficient with it. But you know, that's training, right? That comes with training and proficiency. So just some simple things, right? Simple things, you know, passing. I'm not even gonna get crazy, you know, if you want to like do some passing with it. There's some like you've seen it, line training 101, you know, with the K-bar and just, right? I walk past you and then I stab you in the neck, right? Right in the heart. So a stab, cut. That's another thing too. This thing will get hung up. It's going to get hung up in clothing. It's going to get hung up in the body, the bone, you know, the muscles. They can grab all this. And, you know, if you have a nice sharp blade, like just a single edge blade or double edge, it's meant to get in and get out, right? This is not. This is a, come on, right? This is a serrated edge. It's meant for just lacerations, right? Absolute lacerations. So I have to keep this thing moving, and I have to keep it, you know, from being bound up, because it will grab and pull and just, you know, get stuck. You know, imagine the knife is stuck now, right? So I could twist it, you know, twisting it helps, right? Boom. So that's the whole point of twisting it too. Is creating more damage and getting your knife full, you know, free from the target. You know, it's stuck in the bone. Boom, boom. You know, I hit, I twist out and pull. Same thing, right? So I hope this helps. Yeah, just something I play with and practice all the time. I probably and keep these mindsets going, right? Keep that mindset, because a prepared mind, right? You know. I'm now prepared. I know what to do with this thing if something happens. You know, I can work this thing. I can get myself out of a dangerous situation. Hopefully, right? Or, you know, dispatch a threat, dispatch whatever, right? There is some other things. I think I've talked about it, the century removal techniques, and, you know, the slip clavicle, going here, going, you know, attacking an unsuspecting victim, some ninja shit, right? Learning anatomy, learning how the system, the body, the human system works, can be very beneficial. You know, cutting here, you know, you cut somebody here, boom, their arm is done, right? You cut here, you cut these tendons and all that. You cut into the hand, you cut fingers, right? They become immovable, right? Stab to the liver, stab to the heart, stab to the lungs, you know, to the guts, right? To the femoral arteries on the inside of the leg, you know, just boom, because you're there already, you know, you just stab that motherfucker in, pull it out. They're in trouble. They're in trouble. That could be a game changer, right? So hope this helps. It's been fun. I love doing shit like this. I love giving little tutorials, and it's always been a passion of mine. And like I said, I've never taken any real classes. I've just studied and practiced. So that's all I've done. And just knowing how things work, you know, how I can effectively deploy my weapon, you know, deploy knife hands, you know, right? Deploy knife hands. It's even better if you got a knife in your hand. So now I got real knife hands. Deploy knife hands. Let me tell you something, right? Yeah. So, you know, getting proficient with this can help you and others as well. So I hope this helps. I thank you very much. Please enjoy your Sunday. Well, damn, I've ran out of room. So thank you all very, very much. This has been Mad Shad Skull. Keep always continue to train, continue to prep, because we all know it's a mad world out there. Skull.